Welcome if anybody's watching this late hour. Um, I haven't done a video all week, and the reason why I haven't done a video is, well, I haven't been home. I've been on vacation for a week and have some neighbors watching the house. They're doing a little house sitting for me too. I'll be heading back there tomorrow. Right now, where did I go? I just want to give you an update. I went to Branson, Missouri. Some friends from Montana invited me. People I ministered with for years, since 2011, invited me to go to Branson with them to listen to some gospel music at Praise Fest, as well as go to the Sight and Sound Theater and see the Sight and Sound Theater in Branson, Missouri. David, about King David. It was excellent. I left this morning, came up. Now I'm in Manhattan, Kansas, with another ministry friend that I know since 2011, up here in Manhattan, Kansas, and staying here the night and heading out in the morning, and I'll be home tomorrow. I don't know if I'll do a video tomorrow. I'll probably be too road lagged like I am now. So anyway, just thought I'd come online, give you an update of where I've been and why I haven't been online. That's pretty much the reason. I'm going to turn this mouse on so I can see what's going on. Okay, Jason is here. All right, Jason, glad to see you. Okay. Toll Melody, that's good. Okay, dialogue conspiracy. We got to do a video about the dialogue conspiracy, Jason. You sent me some stuff. I had to take a break from everything. Yeah, no background. I'm in Manhattan, Kansas. And if you don't know where Manhattan, Kansas is, well, it's off of I-70, about 8 miles or so, maybe 12 miles off the interstate going north, and it's over near Fort Riley. I'm right next to Fort Riley. So yeah, that's the home of the first division, 1st Infantry Division, the big red one. It's where they're stationed at. So that's where I'm at right now. So, and I'll be heading out tomorrow. So I went to Branson, Missouri, like I said, to go to listen to some praise music at a praise fest, and then go to see the Sight and Sound Theater called David. It's about King David. It was very well done, and I'd recommend people seeing that. So I just thought I'd just stop by and tell everybody where I've been. I'm using this other computer, and I really can't see how many people are online right now. It doesn't have my counter, but evidently there's people in the live chat, so we'll go with that. So just kind of needed a break, and I just kind of took off. And we had this planned. I don't usually announce when I'm going on obvious reasons. I set up things. What happened here? Something just came up on my screen. Let me check my sound. Okay, all right, everything, sound is on. Okay, something about the sound. Okay, it sounds okay to me. It looks like my sound is still set up. But I just needed a vacation and have some house sitters, my neighbor's house sit the house. And so they'll be there till tomorrow. And then when I get home, I usually have people watch the house for the obvious reason when I'm going someplace. It's a good idea. You never know who's out there due to how people, I don't know if the podcasters know that what they post against somebody can pit some wackadoodle dude that would come up to you who wants to do harm and stalk you. I had that happened already. And since that seems to have vanished now after all these years, I don't see that person. I just don't let anyone know. I like to go back in my house, be standing. And people falsely accuse you of things and stuff, and somebody's listening, and you never know what harm you can do to a person. So just let you know that. Anyway, I was driving along, and so I was down in Branson, and I went ahead and I quote this book a lot, Live Not by Lies. I actually found it down in Branson, of all places, a Christian bookstore. Probably the only place I could find it. It's by Rod Dreher, and I quote from it quite extensively, and I'm reading it, and I was just kind of brushing up on it because I've been thinking about this subject for some time, and how to live not by lies. I'll talk about that in a second. But during my vacation, besides reading the book and listening to good music and just relaxing and overeating, trying not to overeat, but yeah, so I'm getting back to my 2 meal a day, 1 meal fast a day, getting back to that. Amen. But anyway, um, when we were there and stuff, I noticed a lot of things happened in the news with the war in Iran and stuff. But anyway, I'm not going to be talking about that. It was nice to go meet some other folks. So I went up to this small town in Missouri, and someone I know that works at the Skywatch TV. I just know someone there, and I called them up, and they invited me over. So I sat with them at the table, and I was in the audience of Skywatch TV, filming a couple of shows, and so that was pretty cool to sit in the audience. And Skywatch TV is my friend there, and um, I'm not going to tell you who it is. It's not, it's somebody you probably all recognize if you watch Skywatch TV. There's no sense in me telling you who it is. If you see the show, they probably show me sitting there with them. I don't know when the show will air next week, probably sometime, but it will show, and you'll see me sitting in the audience. So anyway, that was a great time meeting people behind the scenes at Skywatch TV. Meet the guest that was being interviewed and stuff, and uh, the founder of Christian TV, actually, one of the founders of Christian TV was being interviewed, and all that you'll see it later. But anyway, don't want to give out too much away, and I just learned to keep people on their toes. If you want to watch Skywatch next TV next week, you get the app, watch it, and you'll see. I'll leave it to you. Trying to bait you. That's what I'm trying to do. Bait you to watch it if you want to. You don't have to. First interview is about honoring the individual, and the next interview you get into more other stuff. And so it's phenomenal to be sitting in an audience watching with your friend there. And man, I'm telling you, that was an honor for me to be there and meet everybody, and it was, and I really impressed. I'm very impressed with um, Joe Horn, Tom Horn's son. I'm really impressed with him. He is on the ball. He's running the show. He's more than capable. If he's watching and sees this video, kudos to you, Joe. You do an excellent job, and your staff, and your sister as well. Didn't get a chance to talk to you personally because as I was leaving, um, I walked out, went ahead and left. You guys were talking, so I had to get back because I had to make the show in Branson and get back in time to go to the show. We had to see the show. We had bought tickets for, but anyway, um, it was great to see everybody there. But anyway, that's just a little bit of information. No, I'm not on the show. Don't worry about that. However, my show that I did with Jamie Duvall came out. That was like um, Janie Duvall, and that's out now on YouTube. It's on Facebook. On my Facebook page, I sent some links there. So just look up Janie Duvall, and you'll find my video. However, the people use an AI picture of me, which don't look like me. Sometimes I wish I looked that good, but this one didn't turn out so good. But anyway, but that was my one on heaven, and also the one I did is out now with both of them are out with Sean Tabbitt, and those are out too. Sean Tabbitt asked me some questions that very few people ask about heaven and what led up to it, allowed me to explain some details that I never was able to get to during an interview because it was more in depth and tell about things that you haven't told about. And so that had to do with me, how I got saved, all the events leading, not every single event, but other events I never talked about leading up to the experience of seeing heaven. Which brings me to my last point on that. You'll see a lot of hostile videos going out against me. Don't worry about those. I'm not worried about them. They call me all kinds of names. I'm used to that. What people don't know and understand, when people do that, they do put a person's life in danger. They really do, and they're doing it ignorantly. So I don't hold any gripe against them. And we live in a free country, and I got thick skin, and you can say whatever you want. I don't care. Only thing I care about is what God requires of me concerning the so-called YouTube critics. Is found in Matthew chapter 5. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall find mercy. And that's what the Lord spoke to my heart. So I turned the other cheek. You can say what you want. I'm not going to show you mercy. And I'm going to leave it at that. And you can say what you want. And that's fine. And you don't have to believe anything I say. I'm not out trying to make $1 million. I'm not trying to make a name for myself. I'm not trying to build some big popular ministry. That's not me. That's really not me. What happened to me utterly transformed my life. I can't explain it. I can't. I have to shout it from the rooftops. If what happened to me happened to you, you'd be shouting it from the rooftops too. Even the critics, I say, why couldn't you have it happen to them, and then they could get all the flack? No, 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 no. The Lord had plans. I don't understand all the plans. He told me to, at a appointed time, all this will come out. And I stand amazed at how many people have seen my testimony through YouTubes and stuff. And also I have my books out, 2 books, A Land Unknown, Health Dominion. I just wish I wish 2% of people who viewed the videos would buy the books, and it would be a little better financial. But anyway, you know, but that's the way it is. I wrote my books as evangelistic tools mainly, as well as leave a if I die or if I go home to do with the Lord sooner rather than later, I have that out there. Some book, if the rapture comes, they'll see my book and maybe somebody will read it and get saved. That's why I wrote. I want to see people saved, born again. I want to see their lives transformed by the miraculous, transformative power of the gospel message. And how the Lord reached me is how he reached me. He won't reach you the same way. And it comes with a great cost of being ridiculed, mocked. And as I said before in one of the videos, my wife and I would go to churches in the Fort Collins area and stuff. And as soon as people kind of found out about me, they basically shut the door on me. And got the cold shoulder, we got the looks, and we never got fellowship. And we kind of like, all you're here for, Brian, is just to promote yourself. No, I need fellowship. I need good teaching. I need to hear the word of God just like anybody else. Okay? And so that's what we got. And then you get the ridicule, making fun of, and stalkers. Wonderful life. Hallelujah. And yeah, and then you have to work amongst a lot of egotistical people out there that who are exploiting the system and giving people like me a bad name because they take terrestrial trips to heaven. Terrestrial times 9 times 85 a day. They just keep going to heaven every time they sneeze, and they come back with some new revelation that never comes to pass. I would hold them to a suspect. So anyway, so one of the crux of what I do here is primarily, and I got to get something. I just left it up here. Oh, hold on. I got to pick this up. I gotta get my phone out and look at something. And so what you do when I'm going to bring this up. So, you try your best to present the gospel the best way you can. and you get called all kinds of names, and that's okay. I don't really care, to tell you the truth, but it's just the way it goes. Let me see if I can find this real quick. I forgot to do this too. All right, hold on. Let's go here. I forgot to put this on here. All right, there we go. But anyway, I wanted to transfer and make sure this on my afterlife page on Facebook. So I have to do everything by hand anymore. But anyway, what I've been thinking about and stuff, and what the Lord's directing me on, is I'm looking at the occult world and come to the conclusion that we are definitely in a spiritual war. All the wokeness you're seeing and what you're seeing in your liberal parties and progressive parties, Marxism, fascism, all forms of totalitarianism, dictatorships, come from one source, Satan. All the Luciferian agenda, Satan. It all comes from the same playbook, and I've traced it and documented it amply for you, and I've still continued to do so. How it fits, I call theosophy the brain trust of the occult world, where they document everything. Oh, it's New Age. No, it's Luciferianism. Alice and Foster Bailey and Blavatsky all worship Lucifer as an angel of light. And people don't understand the occult world, heavy duty Satanism. There's different types of Satanism. People don't know that. But Satanism is not the whole enchilada. Some of it is the Black Lodge type, if you know Alice Bailey, and it's harshness, cruelty, selling themselves as merciful. And then you have the theosophical, or the white magic type, that they call it the White Lodge. Everything is mercy, compassion, which is the masculine, and the feminine, the severity, truth, and justice. The roles are reversed, and the whole idea is to blend the two together according to the yin yang symbol into a mash of gray. So all political ideologies are trying to get back to this gray blob of nothingness and selling it as a utopia. Marxism, especially, progressivism, um, um, as well. So when I got this book, Live Not by Lies, and I read excerpts from this and stuff, and the book is better than the excerpts. And this is something that says a manual for Christian dissidents, how to survive what's coming down the pike. And I was shocked this morning when I woke up. My friends left, and I was getting ready to leave because I have a shorter drive to from Branson to Manhattan, Kansas, than they do to Rapid City, 12 hours. I drove about 5. But anyway, I got in, and I got up this morning at the place where we're staying at. I turned the TV on, and there was Dr. David Jeremiah. And I go, wow, he looks old, like he is, but he was preaching. He was preaching about Marxism, warning the church about Marxism. I go, wow, there's one preacher warning about Marxism and what's to come. One. And then there are a few people like me online. Maybe there's other out there. Dr. Charles Lawson's warned about, he's popular online. He's warned about it. Other people have warned about it, but to see that moderate, and he took it, and it was like a breath of fresh air. And his whole goal was, and his show was, how to live not by lies. He even quoted, he had it in a quote, the title of this quoted in his message. And you can't live by their lies, and you have to learn how to make up a stand. And what you're dealing with is, it's called critical theory. I was in school and college. I was inundated with this as an overage student in the 1990s. Early 1990s, early 80s, late 1980s, early 1990s. I was in college. Get the perspective right, like 1989, early 90s, and went through college. And and I was in social work, so I was inundated not with helping people, but how to involve and stir up praxis. What is praxis? That stir up the masses, useful idiots, to be activists, to destroy and burn down the system and build it back better. That's pretty much what I learned. How to be, we called them at that time community organizers. As I stated to some professors, um, way community organizing is defined in this textbook matches the Encyclopedia Britannica. I think it's 1966, whatever I had, and they termed it communist agitator. Little did I know how right I was. Most of my professors were devout Marxists. Saul Alinsky was in our textbooks. Herbert Marcuse. What's it? Yeah. I can't remember the guy's name. You talk about uh, pedagogy, how to indoctrinate the young. Antonio Ferrare, or something like that. I can't remember his first name, and others too, too numerous to count. And so those are the people we read, and how to infiltrate institutions and take them over and implement this stuff. I read writings on white privilege, white fragility before anybody else ever heard about it. There was cutting edge. It came out those years. The documents came out by these whacked out feminists. And so I've been trying to warn you. Then what's the amazing thing is to realize all of this is traced to Satan himself, tricking people to destroy the world and all that's in it, thinking they're going to arrive at paradise, mixing that yin yang thing together. So I thought I'd just look at this book. So I do. I'm going to read you on page 59 with just a few pages of this. No, I'm not quoting the whole thing, just excerpts from it. And this is 89. This is a chapter on understanding the cult of social justice. And this paragraph on page 59 says, note well that an individual's words and deeds had nothing to do with determining one's guilt or innocence. One was presumed guilty based entirely on one's class and social status. A revolution that began as an attempt to right historical injustices quickly became an exterminationist exercise of raw power. Communities justified, communists justified the imprisonment, ruin, and even execution of people who stood in the way. Communists justified the imprisonment, ruin, and even the execution of people who stood in the way of progress as necessary to achieve historical justice over alleged exploiters of privilege. Herbert Marcuse would write and repressive tolerance, and I'll paraphrase what I taken away from that. I don't know how many dot pages, 12 or 70, I can't remember how many pages it is of this document that he wrote. And basically, you have an oppressor class and an oppressed class. And so only the oppressed class has freedom of speech, and you have to repress the oppressor, and they don't have a right to free speech. So they justify in taking free speech away because you are a certain skin color, you're this, you're that, they just call you names and say that your country is racist and it's based on all these things. They just yell, 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 yell. You can't talk to these people. You cannot reason with them. They are useful idiots. They're the Duma of 1917 during the Russian Revolution. They are the progressives. They are the Mensheviks. They are the useful idiots that when the Bolsheviks, who was known, Lenin changed the name Social Democrat Party, Democratic Party, a Socialist Democrat Party, a Social Democrat, into Bolsheviks. So that's what you're dealing with. You don't know that. They don't teach you this. They hide this from you. Okay? Communist, a softer, bloodless form of the same logic is at work in American institutions. Social justice progressives advance their malignant concept of justice in part by terrorizing dissenters as thoroughly as any inquisitor on the hunt for enemies of religious orthodoxy. Wokeism, communism, you're gonna hate what I say. It is a religion. Atheism, it's where you become your own God. You build back your own Eden. Everything becomes this nice gray. The state controls it all, and you live in abject poverty and ruin. Okay. So I'll read this on page 58. One imagine an entry-level worker as a Fortune 500 firm or an untenured university lecturer suffering through the 100th workshop of diversity, equity, and inclusion and they're doing their very best not to be suspected of dissent. In fact, I don't have to imagine it at all. As a journalist who writes about these issues, I've often hear stories from people, always white-collar professional like academics, doctors, lawyers, engineers, who live closeted lives as religious or social conservatives. They know that to dissent from the progressive regime in the workplace or even to be suspect of dissent would likely mean the burning of their careers at the stake. This was happening in America during Biden's administration. It's happening in the UK right now. Okay? For example, an American academic who has studied Russian communism told me about being present at a meeting in which his humanities department decided to require from job applicants a formal statement of loyalty to the ideology of diversity. This is communism, even though this had nothing to do with his teaching ability or workshop. The professor characterized this as McCarthy-right way of eliminating dissenters from the employment pool and putting those already on staff on notice that they will be monitored for deviation of the social justice party line. This is the world of the Antichrist. You can't buy, sell, or eat without a mark, and you have to worship the beast, the system. This is Satan's system. I should have called this Satan's system. Maybe I'll go change the title back to Satan's system. And because this is exactly what it is. All these left-wing political ideologies and theosophy are well springs from Satan. They're Satan's strategy. And I thank the Lord that Dr. David Jeremiah at least warned of it. That is a soft form of totalitarianism. Here's the logic laid down hard. In 1918, Lenin unleashed the Red Terror, a campaign of annihilation against those who resisted Bolshevik social democrat power. Well, Mundami's a social democrat. He's not a Bolshevik. Bolsheviks lie for the cause of the revolution. They're the heroes. You are the villains. You must be silenced. They're the good guys. Any dissent has to be quashed. Oh, yeah, they're social democrats. Okay? Okay. Martin Latis, head of a secret police in Ukraine, instructed his agents as follows. This is the exact quote. Do not look in the file of incriminating evidence to see whether or not the accused rose up against the Soviets with arms or words. Ask him instead which class he belongs. What is his background, his education, his profession? These are the questions that will determine the fate of the accused. That is the meaning and the essence of the Red Terror. Oh, you are a white person. You're not a Bolshevik, so you're guilty of all these crimes of whiteness. You're a bigot. You're a homophobe. Without any trial, you're guilty. Nothing you can do. You have to be exterminated. You're homophobic. What the heck is homophobic? What in the heck is Islamophobia? What the heck are these terms? Do they have any meaning? No. Live not by lies. They assign meanings to these words to destroy you. So, understanding the cult of social justice. In the last chapter, we briefly examined how social justice warriors play a similar role in our society that the Bolsheviks played in late imperial Russia. Okay? Okay. Um, so perhaps no public intellectual has thought so deeply about the fundamentally religious natures of these progressive militants than James A. Lindsay, an atheist and university mathematician who I don't always agree with, but I listen to a lot of his new discourses. He named that because Marxists love discourses, but that's why he named it discourses. So try to educate Marxists. They're crazy. He hopes he can convert a few back to sanity, but I don't know if he's too successful. We'll see. Lindsay contends that social justice fulfills the same psychological and social needs that religion once fulfilled, but no longer can produce. And like conventional religion, it depends on axiomatic claims that cannot be falsified but only accepted as revealed truths. This is why arguments with these zealots are about as productive as as disputation with the synod of Taliban divines. With the Taliban, you're not going to get too much. For the social justice inquisitors, dialogue is the process by which opponents confess their sins and submit in fear and trembling to the social justice creed. Social justice warriors are members of what Lindsay calls an ideologically motivated moral community. They're morally superior than you. Far from being moral relativists, social justice warriors are truly, uh, I call it just dogmatic, rigorous, puritanical, that's a good word, with a deep and abiding concern for your purity. They do not hesitate to enforce their saccharist beliefs. Those beliefs give meaning and direction to their lives, provide a sense of shared mission. What are those beliefs? I want to read these beliefs. I'm not going to read everything in the book, but he lists some. And I thought when I was reading these, I go, wow, this connects. And I don't have my documents. I don't have time to put them up on a screen. I already have on the rays of initiation that Alice Bailey talked about. First ray is the will to achieve power. The next is about love and unity. You're doing it in the name of love, the better the world. And then the third ray of initiation involves bring everybody into a collective mind, a universal mindset. So with that little to do here, these real brief. The first one, the first thing here on Lindsay's analysis, the central fact of human existence is power and how it is used. Right there is the will to achieve power according to theosophy. You entice people, everything is about power. I'm going to read this. Politics is the art and science of how power is distributed and exercised in society. For social justice warriors, everything in life is understood through the relationship of power. So when you heard the Democrat politicians' response to Donald Trump's State of the Union speech, oh, that's just about gaining political points. This is about him trying to get political power because they don't see pain in people's heart that they cause. It's all about acquisition of power. You're just doing this. What's the angle? What are you getting out of it? That's how they think. Everything's we common folks. We are a bag of deplorables, and that just describes what Hillary Clinton means by deplorables. I mean, I'll read it in a minute, but you find out. But it's all about power and acquisition of power. So they look at us. All we're trying to acquire power for ourselves. I'm just trying to survive and live comfortably and pass on what I have to other people when I die. And also, the more money I make, the more people I can donate to and give out to. I'm not hoarding it to myself. Oh, you got private property. Yeah. What about the house? I don't give a rat's rear end. I worked hard. You kid too, but I don't believe lazy people should get a free ride. I know life is tough and hard, and I know there's not fair out there, and this is where Christians can step in and try to right some of these things. But when you have the social justice warriors writing everything, it's pretty daggone hard to try to change anything. We are now in a world, folks, we're shifting over to an AI technology. Massive people are going to be laid off. This is not prophetic. This is just common sense. Trump's touting all the jobs. They know full well all these people are going to be laid off soon. They also know that robots are online now to take over manual labor positions. More unemployment. They want to build a world where you no longer have to work and you'll get your universal income from the government, who will call the population like they call chickens during an epidemic, a bird flu. They'll call you. Not call, but cull. Cull. They're making and getting ready for the Antichrist world. They really are. The Marxists don't want, they're lazy bums. Marx was a lazy sleazebag. So was Ingalls, and they want to take everybody's money, live high on the hog, a two-tiered system, and they're all about social justice, justifying it. They're laughing at your face. The demons of hell are laughing at people for following this stuff. And it's all about the acquisition of power to dominate. So every time they look at you as an individual who working hard, trying to make a living, you're making it, then, I got laid off so many times. In my generation, I don't consider myself a baby boomer. They call us the Joneses or something in some generation. What is it? I think it's 1955-ish on up to 1964. We don't fit. We're not boomers. We don't fit. I grew up in a time, the gas lines. I lost job. I couldn't find work. I had to be creative to survive. I washed windows. I did what I could. I stood in line at the employment agency for day laborers with a bunch of other people. Was it fun? No. Was I able to eat? Yes. Did I get out of it? In time. And so I'm used to being the rug pulled out from under me. These people growing up now don't even know it. They're being set up. It's all about the will to achieve power and dominance over them. Getting these people hating society. Look, all the jobs are going. Well, they've designed it that way, folks. It's in Revelation. So you'll get a mark. You can't buy, sell, or eat. You get your universal income. Digital currency. So again, politics is an art of how power is distributed and exercised in society. Everything in life is understood through relationships of power, nothing else. In other words, you only work hard so you can acquire power to lord it over and oppress people, because your natural color of your skin makes you an oppressor. Shut up. You need to be punched in the mouth. I'm tired of it. I'm really tired of these people. Oh, you're a Christian, you're supposed to be a doormat. No. Sometimes some things are worth defending. Social justice is the mission of reordering society to create a more equity, just power relationships. Those who resist social justice are practicing hate and cannot be reasoned with or any way tolerated, only conquered. So if you don't agree with their power dynamics that you are an oppressor, you have to be conquered. You're practicing hate. You're a hater. You don't like this diverse community that's oppressed by how you are. And these people are nuts. They're insane. They're drunk with power because they took the first ray of initiation, which how the devil hooks people is with the will to achieve power to control other people's lives. It's very heady. There's many ministers that are getting caught doing that now. It's in the corporate world too. It's not limited to the church. It's in politics. Why did 300 and some odd people in Congress vote against releasing all of Epstein files, but release Trump's, but not theirs? Wow, that speaks volumes. In other words, you got to be conquered, okay? So there it is the will to achieve power. Why? Because you're going to create a brave, new, socially just world is the excuse. This book brings this out pretty good. The second thing that James Lindsay points out that this guy is talking about, there's no such thing as objective truth. There's only power. Again, it goes back to power. No objective truth. Who decides what is true and false? Those who hold power. Religious claims, philosophical arguments, political theories, all of these are veils concealing will to power. They are only rationalizations for oppressors to hold power over the oppressed. The value of truth claims depends upon who's making them. This was so big as I was in college. And I was the only honorary person there that would debate. The professors, I'd get a few good laughs in. And most of my professors, 99% of them liked me, except for one guy. But I debated these guys. It's a will to achieve power. Oh, that's what it is. The value of truth claims depending on who's making them. That's one of my arguments. You're making the truth claims. How do I know you're right? Well, you're the oppressor. How? You don't know me. How dare you say this to me? Live not by lies. Do you get flack? Do you get a bad grade? I sure did one class. Two professors. One professor gave me a bad grade. The other, I confronted him. He made a whole class. How many Christians are in this upper level division social work class? There are about 30 people in that class. And I think it's a 401, 40 something level class. So I'm up there and we raised our hands and a bunch of mostly ladies in there. And so I raised my hand and I'm a Christian. Yeah, I'm a Christian. And some of the girls, he had us all stand up in front of the class. He called us haters, bigots. You are the oppressors. What gives you the right to spread your morality on them people? You know, I said, you're spreading your morality on me. And some of the gals ran out of there crying. I went and reported the SOB. Pardon my French. It's a sob is what he was. Sorry-eyed, you know what. And so I reported him. They kind of scoffed it off, but the guy never did it again. And he gave me a good grade because I stuck it out and I called him on things. Live not by lies. How you like that? Well, these poor ladies, several of them were crying and they dropped out of social work because of this idiot. Spreading garbage that people are haters because they're Christians and that we are the oppressors, cramming our religion down people's throat. When I was an atheist, yeah, I believed that trash, but I know better now. All we do is offer you a choice when before you had none. You can accept or reject, freely live however you want to live. But if you come to Christ, you get forgiven. And it changes your life for the better and become what God intended you to be. It's a journey, it's a walk, and sometimes it's hard, but He gets you there. And it's not some invisible man in the sky either. So I had to fight that. And in my last final exam in college, in the college blue book exam in one of my classes, this guy got along. And I mean, we got along. I got AAA in his class, literally AAA. That's the highest A in the class. And here's my final exam, blue book exam. We had to write, what about white fragility or white privilege? I write my paragraph, blah, 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 blah. And then the last one was the question had to deal with why there are no objective morals or morality or objective standards, something like that. So I looked at that and I go, I'm ornery. I'm fed up. I'm tired of this. I want to get out of this class. So I, and it was, I got done with the other questions about 25 minutes. I took 5 minutes and wrote a paragraph. I said, if you jump out of a jet airliner at 30,000 feet, butt naked over the Pacific Ocean, when you hit the water, you're absolutely dead. You'll absolutely will be dead. So therefore, absolutes do exist. Thank you so much. That's it. Turned it in. I got the highest grade on there. He loved my answer. I blew him out of the water. Go ahead, prove me wrong. Jump out of the airplane. See if your subjective morality says that you can survive. Go ahead. You're butt naked. No parachute allowed. 30,000 feet. You'll probably freeze to death before you hit 20,000. The lack of oxygen will make you a vegetable by the time you hit the water. So go for it. Yeah. If you go up go up unprotected at 70,000 feet and see if your brain boils. Okay? Your subjective morality says it won't happen because your subjective morality of the way the world works is superior, but reality is the standard by which truth is the standard by which reality is measured. So, but these people believe there's no subjective truth. You are a hater. And then it goes there, identity politics sorts oppressed from oppressors. In classic Marxism, the bourgeoisie are the oppressors and the proletariat are the oppressed. I never can pronounce that right. In the cult of social justice, the oppressors are generally white, male, heterosexual, and Christians. The oppressed are racial minorities, women, sexual minorities, religious minorities. Curiously, the poor are relatively low on the hierarchy of oppression. For example, a white Pentecostal man living on disability in a trailer park is an oppressor, while a black lesbian Ivy League professor is oppressed. I saw that in college. I mean, that is so true. Here's this guy. He's a drug addict, and he's in there, and it doesn't matter the color of your skin. You call him an oppressor and a hater. Justice is not a matter of working out what is rightly due to an individual per se, but what is due to an individual as a bearer of group identity for acquiring a power. So this is all the 3 points of acquiring power. Is exercise dominance to promote social change. One exercise we did in college, we had in the textbook we had, is that there's a housing development and the landlords are not doing anything about it. So this is what you do. You write them. They don't listen. You protest. You make sure the news media is in on it and they protest and all these people are in front of the camera. And finally, the person has to acquiesce to the demands, which is fine to an extent if it's a legitimate cause. But now, you hear all this stuff. We're going to get rid of rent and renters, and there'll be, you can live rent free. They're the oppressors. I do agree that rent is a little outlandishly high. I can't believe how high it is compared to what it used to be. I mean, what gives? I don't understand it. It's not really greed. It's called necessity because in taxes that politicians put on you, And the laws of states make it prohibitive to own anything anymore, hardly in some states. Colorado, New York City, excuse me, California, Washington, excuse me, Oregon. Get a little choked up there. This one involves the second ray of initiation. It's called intersectionality is social justice ecumenism. People who bear identities within a so-called matrix of oppression, link their identities to one another by way of intersectionality. It's all about love is love. It's all about you're doing this for the better of society. You band all these people together for social change to beat the oppressor class. They won't submit to you. And what gets me, and I always try to figure this out, and only came recently, all these people they're white liberal women, and they're doing most of the protesting, and calling about oppression and stuff, and they want to have everybody with these groups that if they went to their countries they would be thrown off the top of buildings. Look that one up. See who I'm talking about. And but it's all in the name of love and liberation. Their love is superior. We have to bash the system. We have the power. We make the rules. You no longer have the power. In other words, haven't you become the oppressor? Oh no, we're the good guys. We're freeing the oppressed. But now I'm oppressed by you. Does that make see how the game played? They just don't. They can't see anything. The concept is that all those who oppressed by the privileged classes, the patriarchy, whiteness, and so forth, are connected by virtue of their oppression and should challenge power as an united front. If one is not a member of an oppressed group, he or she can become an ally of the power struggle. You're in the cause to liberate humanity in the name of love, build back better. This is the second ray of initiation. It has to do with love is love. It's called group love, group conformity, and group control. That's the second ray of initiation. That's what involved. You belong to the cult, satanic or Luciferian or secret society or whatever it is, Luciferian theosophy. You're one with the group. And everybody has group conformity. You conform to the group, intersectionality. Okay. And then you conform, and it's group control. You control other people and you control the group to achieve and to maintain your will to power because you're doing it in the name of liberation and love. Same thing. Language creates human realities is the next one. Social justice warriors believe that human nature is constructed largely through the use of linguistic conventions. This is why they focus heavily on discourses. That is the style and content of modes of speaking that, in their view, legitimizes certain ways of being and delegitimizing others. The social justice warriors tightly police the spoken and written word, condemning speech that offends them as a form of violence. Conservatives, old-fashioned liberals, and others who are outside the social justice movement frequently, I'd say not more, all the time, fail to grasp how to respond to the aggressive claims of the proponents. This is because they assume social justice warriors are typically not religiously operate under the established standards of secular liberal discourse with respect and discursive reasoning. In other words, back and forth reasoning. That's how I grew up. We respect each other. And live and let live is how we live. But since I believe in live and let live, that makes me an oppressor, I guess. But whatever. Okay. 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 Some conservatives think that the social justice people should be countered with superior arguments, and if conservatives stick with the liberal process of dualism, they will prevail. This is fundamentally error that blinds conservatives to the radical nature of the threat. You cannot know how to judge and act in the face of these challenges if you cannot see the social justice warriors for what they truly are and where they do their work. It is easy to identify the shrieking student on the university quad, but it's more important to be able to spot the subversive presence of older social justice warriors and fellow travelers in institutional bureaucracies, academia, where they exercise immense powers. Alice Bailey goes on to claim in order to achieve this all loving state, you have to take over um, the education system, psychology, okay? All forms of media, arts, entertainment, media, especially the news. And then you get everybody doing a narrative. You have to destroy the family, disintegrate the family, have the kids taught at an early age in daycare centers and in kindergarten Marxist ideology, social justice stuff. And then you go on to the political parties, business, commerce. You take over all the cultural mountains of influence, so you can press this narrative of belief. So a small number of people can take control, as Saul Alinsky would say, you know. And Saul Alinsky is all about working through the institutions to acquire power to change the world through such discourse and use of language to get everybody to conform to their idea of love is love. Second ray of initiation. And then social justice with Christianity is one thing. This thing talks about that. I'm not going to get into that. I don't have time. There'll be another day I talk about that. Let's see. For Marxists, this is page 64. Social justice meant an equal distribution of society's material goods. By contrast, Christian social justice sought to create conditions of unity that enable all people, rich, poor alike, to live in solidarity and mutual charity as pilgrims on the road to unity with Christ. Okay? Quite different. I won't get into all that. And so, where's that one? I should have wrote it down here. There's one here. I have to look it up again. But they consider anybody, the common average everyday American who just works for a living, who has a certain color of skin, doesn't matter your color of skin. If you are just different color than I am, but if you think the same way, you're the same color as me. That's how they think. And so that you are the oppressor. So therefore, all you're out is to achieve power, and you're not loving enough. So they need to unify you by threats to bring you into the third ray of initiation, which is which involves social justice. Is bring everybody into this universal mindset, this group think. You're united in one group think, group control. And so Hillary Clinton talked about we're being baskets of deplorables. That means working people who are making an honest living, who just want to live and let live, are called deplorables. That's who she was referring to, the average everyday American. We all know that. But that's how they think of us, as deplorable. If you're white, conservative, Christian, male, whatever, you are the enemy who needs to be destroyed. We suffered 4 years of this garbage with Biden. And if these people get back in power, there's hell to pay. So right now, we all should, maybe you should check this book out, read it. Maybe you should, or download, listen to it, get it off Amazon, download it, and listen to it audio if you can't have trouble reading, and digest this thing, and have some good points on it. I'm trying to warn you. This is the occult world. Progressivism. It's just, it's preparing the way for the Antichrist. And the reason I say that is that I don't know when we're going to fly out of here. I do feel like it could be very soon, but how soon is, who knows. But for those that are going to be left behind or come across this video, you got to learn how to live not by lies, which brings me to, I'm not going to really go into depths on this one. I'm going to go to Ephesians chapter 6. Tells you how to live not by lies. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the day of evil day, and having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having your waist girded with truth. Live not by lies. God's truth. Having put on the breastplate of righteousness. Learn how to do right wisely. Wisdom is justified by her children, the Bible says in the book of Proverbs. Yeah. And having shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, I always call this faith in God's faithfulness, which you will be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one. Take the helmet of salvation, which is the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. And lastly, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, being watchful to this end, with all perseverance and supplication for all the saints. Prayer. That's how you live not by lies. I'll talk more about that later. So what I do when I'm driving hundreds of miles at a time by myself, I must be weird. I'm thinking about things like this. I'm listening to things. Plus, I'm listening to gospel music too. Sometimes I need a break. But the more I look at society and where we're headed, you guys got to be prepared. With that, I'm done. Turn the thing on, go to the graphics. All right. So I'm gonna I don't even see myself. There's no counter on here. Why there's no counter? Okay, I'm gonna go here. So if you want to contact me or whatever, there's my contact information, my website, email, PayPal. If you'd like to support what I do, I want to thank everybody who has supported me. There's a lot of people who have, and I really thank you. Everything helps. You keep this channel going and keep me going too. And I just appreciate you all so much. And my 2 books, Land Unknown, Hell's Dominion, and Heaven Beckons. Now I'm going to look at the live chat. It's the only time I know there's anybody watching. My counter is not working on this screen. This is my laptop. Okay. Good thing people are trying to ask me, where does Brian go? Oh, I didn't tell anybody. I just, like I said, I don't tell people if I'm going on vacation. I like to come back to a house that's still standing. And also, I don't want to endanger my neighbors who are watching my house either, who are staying there and stuff. Okay, I don't want to cause them any ill harm. Okay, I have a good neighbor there, really nice neighbor, and a good, great kids. Yeah, you're just asking about me. I guess I'm here. Okay, I am here. Hallelujah. All right. Okay. Oh, I'm glad you cooked this pot of spaghetti tonight. That's great. Okay. You guys are making me hungry talking about food. Okay, well, yes, this is a real bedroom in Manhattan, Kansas. I'm upstairs. Some friends of mine. We ministered together since 2011 in the Cheyenne River Reservation area. Well, let me get this thing out of here. Why do I have that still up? Oh, boy. Get back to the chat. Yeah, I did not walk through the green screen. No, I didn't. This is a real room in a real house in Manhattan, Kansas. Well, I'm glad it is real because it's real. It's right here. No green screen. I tried to do the lighting better, but I turned the lighting on. It's too bright. I have a couple of lights on over it that way. I use a green screen because I'm in a basement at home. When I'm at home, I use the basement. That's where I set up shop, and so I have. And I could use this upstairs. I might use it upstairs sometime too. Okay. Oh, these are some of the things that I was talking about, but some reason there's just very difficult for me to even say these words online. But these are the oppressed groups that are used as a battering ram to destroy the system, which the people who are using them will get rid of at a point in time themselves, like they did in communist Russia. It's all been practiced, it's been done before. Yes, many people are going to lose their jobs. So poor Trump's lauding about the jobs he's created, and they're going to be taken away. They're already started. The higher level white collar jobs go first, and then the people working in trying to make a living or not. Then people will be clamoring for the mark. Can't buy, sell, or eat. I hope you can see this. I really do. This is real time stuff. Okay. Okay, so Patricia, wow. Sorry to hear that, Patricia. Car accident, December 2021. There's a song sung by Leroy Stolfus. I think it's Stolfus or something. It's called Can You Come Home? It's about the very subject matter. And I listen to it often because it helps me get over the loss of my wife. She died in August 2024. Very good song. I should have, if I find it, I'll put it in the description a little bit later on tonight, or maybe in a little while after I close this out, put it up there for you. Yeah, yeah. I I got in trouble with my heaven video already with some critics, but when I said that you'll see some of your loved ones up heaven, you'll see little kids in heaven, and you'll see your pets in heaven, like, boy, I get flack for that. I don't know why. I mean, I give up. It's King David says, I'll go see my son when I die. The little boy that died, he's going to go and see his son after death. Okay, go to that chapter. But he did a bad thing with Bathsheba. He paid the price. His son died, and he knew that he would see him. So just I wish people would chill sometimes on things, especially when they're believers. Okay. The oppressor or suppressor. Yep. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Patricia. I'll try to get that out there for you. I'm going to go ahead and sign off and get some sleep so I have a good long drive tomorrow. So, anyway, I'm going to head on out, and everybody have a good time, good day tomorrow. God bless you, and I'll see you soon. Amen.